Now we're going to get into a lot more in-depth concepts, and this is where things are going to start to be put together. The concepts are going to become a little bit more, somewhat more advanced, and then we're going to put it all together in the next section once we're done talking about a little bit more of the nitty-gritty type of things. Now, I'm going to start off with talking about what are reactionary blocks. So a reactionary block is an order block that forms off a supply/demand zone or a discount/premium level. Now, a reactionary block essentially could be formed off an order block. It could be formed off of a supply level. It has to react. It's pretty much an order block that forms at some sort of support/resistance, to keep it honest. That's literally what it is. Now, this order block, I have, for my rules, it must form within a kill zone. So it must form within the London session. It must form within the New York session. Those are the times when I would consider something a reactionary block. And ideally, this is not necessary, but ideally it has an imbalance forming, and we will get into what an imbalance is in the next lesson. That's actually the following lesson that's coming up. Now, this can be used as a way to confirm our price levels. This is one, like, so if you guys are in my Telegram channel, if you guys have been in my Telegram chat, a lot of times I'll say I'm waiting for confirmations. Now, what is a confirmation? I have a whole section talking about confirmations, but reactionary block is something I personally like to see. This is one of my confirmation entries that I do like to see at a level to confirm if this level is actually going to be something I want to trade. Now I'm going to show you guys concepts of this in the next few slides. So here's a perfect example, right? We have an area of demand, and these two down close candles are our order block, right? Now, this level is delineated right here as a potential area of support. Now, we might not know if this area of demand is going to play any significance in our trading. So if I want to wait for some form of confirmation, I'm going to wait for a clear order block to form. And boom, right here is a perfect scenario. So we have our order block right here. This is our bullish order block. Price comes into our support level. Now the order block forms and price makes a new high. So this is also a very key element. I want to see this order block either create some sort of market structure break, or kind of push up to the point where now it reversed all of the down move. So now that we know that this price push here undid majority of the downside move, and we had a market structure break because this was the last high before a lower low. Now we know that this area right here is going to be our reactionary block. So now I can have my confirmation, and I can kind of bid this area right here, where I can either put at the open, or I could just place the buy at the order block range, right? The full candle range. And as you guys see, price does come down, does kind of consolidate here, but then finally we get a nice impulsive push. And we actually, and this is why structure is important, because we have our we have our low to high right here. Price comes back, retests our reactionary block. So sometimes when I send my charts, it might say RB. That's what it stands for, reactionary block. And then we know that this higher high is going to be our first target, which actually takes it out over here. And if let's say we have a liquidity pool resting here, we could target that. Now, this is the reason why I came up with reactionary blocks, is because I've seen in most of my trades that works well for me. Even if I have a specific bias, sometimes I would enter, let's say, this area of demand, and sometimes it might not work, and price kind of just keeps going lower. So the trades that had the common theme for all the trades that were winners for me, and again, this was through my experience, was if I waited for an order block to form off of my level that I was waiting for, the trade typically had a better strike rate and higher probability of working out. That's why sometimes I prefer waiting for a confirmation entry, just because it just gives me an extra confluence, an extra confidence in the trade. Because ultimately, we need to be confident in our trades in order to hold them longer, in order to hold them to TPs, in order to be confident to put on a little bit more risk when things are setting up. Now again, I'm going to show you guys another example right here. So we have a clear area of supply, right? This is a big drop right here that created a lower low. So we have consolidation, and when we draw that level out, look how price came up, and then we had a drop lower. So now this area, this big bullish candle, is going to be our reactionary block, because this was the area, this was pretty much our bearish order block. And this was a reactionary block formed off of a prior area of supply. So now we have this zone mapped out. where we could look for a potential sell. Now, because this range is kind of big, sometimes you might want to just draw a 50% mark of it so that way you can get a better entry. But yeah, and as you guys can see, price eventually came up, tapped it, and this right here was the 50% mark of the full body candle, and we had a very nice move to the downside. Now again, this is just extra confluence, because if you because you can the reality is this: you can sell. Let's say if you really have conviction in this trade, and let me go back right here. So if you have really strong conviction in the trade right here, like this is a strong area of supply, and then price kind of retests this area, this is gonna be something where you can sell it. Like if you draw your Fibonacci right from high down to the low, and again this was a high that formed a lower low. Then we have a clear lower low point, and if you just want to sell right there, you can. There's nothing wrong with selling at that area. But if you're someone, let's say you want to wait for some sort of confirmation, then you can go ahead and wait for a reactionary block, or you can also have, let's say, a second entry to it. Now, I don't want to get too in depth with like the whole trade management part, because I'm going to cover it all in the later sections. But I'm just trying to illustrate the concepts here. So there is nothing wrong with selling this area immediately, especially if you really like the setup. You know, the structure is pretty good, and you know that, okay, my next lower low is down here, so you can TP around there. There's nothing absolutely wrong with waiting for anything. You can just sell the level in there. But sometimes the reactionary blocks does come in handy, because you might want to wait for an area to kind of confirm, to make sure that, you know, price doesn't just kind of go steamroll through your level. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much all it is, right? I like to keep things very simple. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Reactionary blocks are just order blocks that are forming at an area of supply / demand, or at, like, let's say, another order block. And this technique is just used in order for a better confirmation entry. So if you're not confident in the level, or you want to just wait, right? Let's say you're the type of trader who needs to kind of see extra confirmation, because let's say for this move here, you were kind of scared price is going to steamroll through, and you want to see an added confluence of events. This is something that you can utilize. Now, we're going to get in so much more depth in the later sections when we start to formulate our trade plans, when we start to talk about top-down analysis. We're going to break this down into an exact science, and I'm going to be really inside of the trading view charts, showing you guys a lot of good examples of how to utilize these concepts and how to create trading setups with them. And also, I will be showing you guys my trade setups and how I trade specific market plays, and I'm going to have the full detailed list, and that's going to be towards the end of the academy. But again, this is all the foundation, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now, the next video, we will be talking about imbalances, and the liquidity pool video is coming down the line.